Continuing from the previous episode 477. Chapter 1406. Venturing deeper, miserable sharp screams continued to echo through the forest, which was saturated by a poison fog. These screams caused the forest to appear extremely sinister. Swish! The rushing sound of wind suddenly appeared within the dense poison fog. Some light from a flame vaguely cast a shadow. The surrounding poison fog seemed to be scared when the cluster of fire appeared. The poison fog withdrew on its own accord, forming a clear path. It seems that these poisonous worms are quite afraid of the heavenly flame. The little fairy doctor examined the path that had formed in front of them. She spoke with a smile. Most poisonous worms are yin and chilly in nature. A heavenly flame is a strong yang with a natural heat. The worms are naturally afraid of it. Xiao Yan smiled. He turned his head and looked ahead. The ancient wasteland region lives up to its reputation. Xiao Yan softly sighed in his heart once again. This was only the outer region. He did not know what kind of obstructions he would meet once he headed deeper. The poison fog is gradually thinning. It seems that we are about to get through this region. Kai Lin looked at their surroundings. It was a little clearer compared to earlier, causing her to make a statement. Let's speed up. My retreat this time has delayed us. Some of the bigger factions within the Central Plains have probably entered the middle section of the ancient wasteland region. Xiao Yan nodded. His toes pressed on the ground, and his body shot forth like an arrow being released from a bow. A couple of figures followed him with lightning-like speed. Kai Lin's senses were correct. The surrounding poison fog began to gradually thin as their group ventured deeper. In the end, the poison fog completely disappeared. Xiao Yan's group leapt onto a large rock after they charged out of the poison fog. Their eyes swept over the land in front of them, only to see a mountain stream that was thousands of feet wide. The mountain stream was extremely deep, and a poison fog lingered within it, causing one not to see its end. If one lifted one's eyes, one would see an endless mountain range behind this mountain stream. This mountain range was extremely tall, appearing like many huge dragons sleeping. An ancient and boundless aura spread from the mountains, lingering over the land. That place was the true ancient wasteland region. Xiao Yan gently exhaled as he studied the distant mountain range. His eyes were a little grave. He could vaguely sense many ferocious auras within the endless ancient mountain range. These auras caused even Xiao Yan to feel a danger. The ferocious beasts of this wasteland have survived isolated from the world. They have continued to propagate since ancient times, and their strengths are extremely frightening. Although their intelligence cannot be compared to a magical beast of the same rank due to their violence, their strength is something that even magical beasts cannot compare with. That Falling Star Pavilion's elder, Qing Cheng, softly sighed beside Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan nodded. He clenched his hand and a bead that contained an emerald color appeared in his palm. It was the bodhisattva seed that had been precipitated from the bodhisattva body transformation saliva from back then. This ancient wasteland region was extremely vast. It was not easy to find the location of the bodhisattva ancient tree. Moreover, there was an endless number of ferocious beasts present. With their lineup, they would likely end up with a terrible fate if they were to randomly charge in. Xiao Yan held the bodhisattva seed in his hand. He shut his eyes and carefully sensed the activity within the bodhisattva seed. This continued for a while before he slowly opened his eyes. His look toward the northwest as he softly said, "This place is likely too far from the bodhisattva ancient tree. I am unable to detect its exact location. However, from the little information that has been transmitted from the bodhisattva seed, it should be in that direction. Let's go." Xiao Yan returned the bodhisattva seed. He did not remain any longer as he pressed his toes into the large rock. His body rose like a large bird. After which, he stepped through empty air and swiftly rushed to the other side of the mountain stream. Kai Lin's group followed behind him. This 1,000-foot gap might appear vast, but with the speed of Xiao Yan's group, they appeared on the other side in the blink of an eye. However, they had just reached the other side when a couple of beast roars suddenly rang out from the ground, and a couple of black figures carried a dense, nauseating stench as they pounced towards Xiao Yan in the air with lightning-like speed. Be careful. This sudden sneak attack caused Kai Lin and the rest to feel slightly startled. They hurriedly issued a warning. Bang bang! Xiao Yan's footsteps paused. There was no change in his expression. He waved his sleeve and a frightening wind swept apart, crashing into the black shadows. A couple of completely black red-eyed leopard-shaped ferocious beasts fell from the sky amidst a win-a-b-ing sound. It seems like there are many ferocious beasts in this region. We cannot fly over. Otherwise, we will attract the attention of some who have entered and also those troublesome fierce beasts. Kai Lin slightly frowned and remarked. Aye. Xiao Yan nodded. The ferocious beasts in this place might not be very strong, but once they ventured in further, the beasts inside would become more difficult to deal with. Hence, he did not object and immediately landed on the ground. Swoosh! Some rushing sounds of wind were transmitted from behind after Xiao Yan's group landed. A couple of figures quickly arrived. They remained in the air and cautiously looked at Xiao Yan's group. Xiao Yan's eyes also glanced at the few figures. These people had all reached the Do Zun class. However, the thing that surprised Xiao Yan was that these people were able to pass through the poison fog. Let's go. Xiao Yan did not place much focus on these people, nor did he intend to chat or travel with them. The aim of everyone in this place was the Bodhisattva ancient tree. Even if they were to cooperate, they would not be able to truly form an alliance. A group that constantly second-guessed each other was not something that Xiao Yan required. He waved his hand and his toes pressed on the ground as his body gently drifted into the distance. Kai Lin and the others swiftly followed. The few figures who had just arrived frowned when they saw Xiao Yan's group take off. However, they did not do anything. They could sense that Xiao Yan's group was stronger than them, and Xiao Yan's actions clearly indicated that he did not wish to get involved with them. Since this was the case, they could only change direction and continue their journey. Howl! A long violent beast roar, which came from within the ancient region, continuously echoed across the sky. Bang! A ferocious dochi pillar suddenly shot out of the forest. After which, it ruthlessly collided with the body of a large ferocious beast. The potent poison in the pillar immediately eliminated the life force within the ferocious beast's body. Before the beast could emit a roar from its throat, its enormous body collapsed and shook the mountains. A couple of figures slowly walked out of the forest when this huge ferocious beast fell. They were Xiao Yan's group, who had entered the ancient wasteland region. Fortunately, these ferocious beasts' ability to resist poison isn't at a level that cannot be dealt with. The little fairy doctor looked at the completely blackened body of the ferocious beast as she softly spoke. Let's rest for a while and wait for Elder Qing Cheng to return from scouting. Xiao Yan looked into the distance. Even though they had chosen to avoid ferocious beasts during their journey, they weren't able to completely avoid such battles. The allure of the Bodhisattva ancient tree is too great. Even those ancient clans will not easily give it up, much less those other large factions. However, we have not come across those groups from the large factions. The little fairy doctor sat on the rock by the side as she said, based on their strength and speed, it is likely that their current progress has been much faster than ours. Xiao Yan slightly nodded, but he was not in a hurry. If it was so easy to obtain a treasure like the Bodhisattva ancient tree, it would really humiliate its name. Even though there were many factions involved in the search, it was not possible to approach the Bodhisattva ancient tree within such a short period of time. Swoosh! The rushing sound of wind was suddenly transmitted from in front of Xiao Yan while he was musing in his heart. An elderly figure swiftly appeared in front of Xiao Yan's group. This figure was Elder Qing Cheng, who had went out to scout earlier. Elder Qing Cheng, how is it? Xiao Yan lifted his head and asked when he saw Elder Qing Cheng return. There is nothing overly dangerous in front of us, but I met a group. I quietly observed them. It seems that they are from the Profound Sky Sect. Elder Qing Cheng replied. A group from the Profound Sky Sect? Xiao Yan knit his brows upon hearing this name. It was unexpected that the first faction he came across after entering the ancient region was the Profound Sky Sect, which he had developed ill feelings for. He had a major disagreement with them. A conflict would likely break out if he met them. I heard them talking while I was quietly observing them. Oh! Xiao Yan lifted his brow. His eyes landed on Elder Qing Cheng. There seems to be a group from another faction in front of them. They are planning to secretly finish off this group. Elder Qing Cheng laughed. There is no need to get involved. Let them bite each other. We will head our own way. Xiao Yan shook his head. These people really couldn't remain peaceful. They were still thinking of how to harm others at such a time, but he had just gotten up when he suddenly asked, which faction is the group in front from? They seem to be from the Flower Sect. Elder Qing Cheng thought for a moment and replied, Flower Sect? Xiao Yan's body suddenly stilled when he was getting up. His eyes gradually became gloomy. Since the flower sect was here, he wondered if Yun Yun was among them. If she was present, it would be impossible for him to stand aside and do nothing. These damn things. Junior Pavilion Chief, what do you plan to do? Elder Qing Cheng hesitated for a moment before asking when he saw Xiao Yan's face suddenly become gloomy. Attack, destroy the profound sky sect. Xiao Yan slowly stood up. His faint voice contained ice-cold murderous intent. He had not settled the score from the last time he was ambushed. Having met them this time around, he couldn't let them go no matter what. A. What did they form? B. Created from his power, I guess. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Duh. Continuing from the previous episode 478. Chapter 1407, encountering Yun Yun again with lightning-like speed, a couple of figures rushed through the air above a mountain range permeated with an ancient aura. There was also a trace of misery vaguely present. Teacher, those fellows have definitely locked onto us. A pretty figure gently pressed against a tree branch. The figure rushed out as her pretty eyes glanced behind her. A worried expression filled those eyes. She turned her head and revealed a familiar pretty face. She was surprisingly Nalan Yanran. It was likely that no one else other than Yun Yun would be addressed as teacher by Nalan Yanran. If one were to turn one's head to the side, there was a woman in a white dress beside Nalan Yanran. The woman's dress flapped with the wind as she flew. She emitted a noble appearance that was difficult to describe. Her pristine face caused the mountains to become a lot more beautiful. Who else could this appearance belong to other than Yun Yun, who had become the chief of the flower sect? These bastards from the profound sky sect actually launched a sneak attack while we were fighting with a ferocious beast, causing Elder Qing Hua to die miserably to the ferocious beast. Once we return, we need to gather the full strength of our sect to fight to the death with the profound sky sect. A somewhat pale-looking old woman behind Yun Yun furiously cried out. A trace of blood remained on the corner of her mouth. Clearly, she had experienced a big battle. We must not let off these bastards. The other few flower sect's elders furiously cried out when they heard her words. Elders, now is not the time to talk about this. The profound sky sect is chasing us. It is clear that they intend to force us all to remain here forever. How will we engage in an all-out life and death battle with them if we cannot even escape this calamity? Yun Yun shook her head as she inquired. The current her had gotten used to her status as the chief of the flower sect. Her words contained a certain prestige. Moreover, she had completely refined the Do Qi that Granny Hua had left her with Xiao Yan's help. Her actual strength had reached the 8th star of the Do Zun level. Hence, the elders behind her did not dare refute her words. All they could do was sigh and nod. Yun Yun only turned her head after hearing the flower sect's elders become quiet. However, she knit her eyebrows slightly. The few grand elders of their flower sect were currently in a deep retreat. Hence, only a 9-star Do Zun elder was present in their group, but this elder had died from the combined attack of the profound sky sect and the ferocious beast. Their party strength had declined, leading them to be chased by the profound sky sect to the point of being in such a miserable state. Teacher, there are 2 9-star Do Zun on the profound sky sect's side. Moreover, they will likely catch up soon, given their speed. Nalan Yanran looked at Yun Yun and whispered. Yun Yun inclined her head a little. Her hand patted Nalan Yanran's shoulder and said, when the time comes, teacher will fight and allow you to escape. Don't bother about anything else. The most important thing is to escape alive. What about teacher? Nalan Yanran involuntarily cried out upon hearing Yun Yun's orders. Being the sect chief of the flower sect, I will ultimately fight. Yun Yun shook her head slightly. Her expression changed abruptly and her body suddenly paused. At the same time, she grabbed Nalan Yanran beside her and abruptly pulled her back. Bang! A sharp wind suddenly rushed from in front of her the moment Yun Yun pulled back. The sharp wind turned the huge tree, which the two of them had been standing on earlier, into dust. Tisk tisk, Sect Chief Yun Yun, all of you will not be able to escape. Why do you still stubbornly resist? Moreover, it is your blessing to have our deputy sect chief covet you. At that time, you, teacher and disciple, can share a husband and become a great story. A deafening strange laugh soon followed after the wind rushed over this caused Yun Yun and Nalan Yanran's expressions to turn a little ugly. Shameless scumbag. Nalan Yanran grit her teeth and furiously cried out. This elderly self likes this form of address. A black figure appeared in a flash on the tree branch in front of them. The figure was extremely tall but skinny. He appeared like a bamboo black-clothed old man. He lifted his head and strangely laughed at Nalan Yanran. Swoosh swoosh. The hurried sound of rushing wind also resounded behind Yun Yun's group the moment this old man appeared to block them. Immediately, 10+ figures quickly stepped through the air and hurried over. Finally, they appeared on an empty plot of land behind Yun Yun's group. Ha ha, Sect Chief Yun Yun. This chief has said that all of you will not be able to escape. Over 10 figures slowly stepped forward. The middle-aged man leading them had pale skin. He was wearing a grand purple robe while his eyes were looking at Yun Yun and Nalan Yanran a short distance away. His tongue involuntarily licked his lips. Such an exquisite teacher and disciple pair was really rare. If he were able to take them as his exclusive domain, he would likely be the envy of an unimaginable number of people, especially when the teacher was also the sect chief of the Flower Sect. Liu Kang, are you planning to start a big war between the Flower Sect and the Profound Sky Sect? Yun Yun's face was dark as she coldly cried out. I don't really want to do that. Some old fellows who would not die that are in a retreat within the Flower Sect are indeed quite troublesome to deal with. Haha, but it doesn't matter. I will kill the rest and imprison the both of you in my Profound Sky Sect. They will not know anything. That middle-aged man, who was called Liu Kang, replied with a smile. He, Deputy Chief, please hurry up and attack. Otherwise the situation might change if we delay. There are many ferocious beasts in this ancient wasteland region. Suffering a loss will be inevitable if we are discovered. A man carrying a purple fan behind Liu Kang smiled as he spoke. From his appearance, he was Yaohua Liangjun, who had attempted to kill Xiao Yan back then. It was unexpected that this fellow was so lucky. He had been able to survive despite being struck by He Qing's punch. Ah, Yaohua is right. If Deputy Chief intends to strike, it is best not to tarry for too long. A shady-looking old man beside Yaohua Liangjun sinisterly laughed. Liu Kang faintly smiled and nodded when he heard these words. After which, he waved his hand and indifferently commanded, in that case, let's strike. Kill everyone other than Yun Yun and her disciple. Understood. All the experts from the Profound Sky Sect replied upon hearing Liu Kang's orders. Their bodies immediately moved together and surrounded everyone from the Flower Sect. Wave after wave of majestic Do Chi slowly erupted from their bodies. Yanran, I will break open a path. You should quickly leave. Yun Yun softly exhaled and spoke after seeing them be surrounded. Teacher. Nalan Yanran tightly bit her lower red lip. Her hand tightly held a longsword. She inhaled a deep breath and said, if teacher lands in their hands, there is no point in living. I would rather just die. Oh, you child. Yun Yun was helpless when she heard Nalan Yanran be stubborn. She was aware that Nalan Yanran was prepared to die. If things turned out badly, it was likely that this teacher and disciple pair would end up remaining in this place forever. Attack! A cold cry suddenly sounded while Yun Yun was quietly sighing in her heart. Those experts from the Profound Sky Sect around them, who were eagerly waiting, let out strange laughs. They charged toward the Flower Sect's group with lightning-like speed as powerful Do Chi erupted. Bang bang! Those Flower Sect's elders revealed some furiously green expressions when they were surrounded and attacked by the experts from the Profound Sky Sect. They unleashed their Do Chi and charged forward without giving in, but their bodies were covered in injuries. Additionally, they had been fleeing during these few days. Their conditions were naturally inferior to those from the Profound Sky Sect. Hence, they fell into a disadvantage after the first exchange. Boom! Yun Yun waved her hand. A vast and might Do Chi erupted and struck an expert from the Profound Sky Sect until he spat out blood and withdrew. Soon after another 2 experts attacked, causing her to have no choice but to meet them in battle. He, Sect Chief Yun Yun, it looks like you will still end up in our hands this time around. You can rest assured that I will definitely take good care of you when the time comes. Yaohua Liangjun hurriedly dodged Yun Yun's attack while he coldly laughed. Yun Yun's face was ice cold. The Do Chi within her body was stimulated to its limit. A palm wind whistled and covered her surroundings. In an instant, even the combined strength of the Profound Sky Sect's 4 Do Zuns were unable to break her defenses. Bang! While Yun Yun was doing her best to fight, a muffled sound was suddenly emitted from beside her. A lovely figure flew backwards as a mouthful of fresh blood was spat out. Yanren! Yun Yun's expression drastically changed when she saw this figure. She curled her hand and a wind surged. It wrapped around Nalan Yanran's flying body. He, one must not be distracted while fighting others. Two mysterious figures suddenly flashed and appeared behind Yun Yun while she was rescuing Nalan Yanran. Powerful palm winds slammed mercilessly into Yun Yun's shoulders. Grug! The sudden attack caused Yun Yun to spit out a mouthful of fresh blood. Her body shot back and heavily collided with a large rock. Another muffled moan was emitted from her throat. Sect Chief Yun Yun, once you have been properly taught by the deputy chief, I will bring that little lover of yours to see you. Yahua Liangjun revealed a lewd smile on his face. He slowly walked toward Yun Yun. His metal fan struck Yun Yun's lower abdomen in an extremely ruthless manner. Yun Yun clenched her teeth when she saw Yahua Liangjun attacked. She unleashed the Do Chi from her body in order to meet him in a fight, but she was just about to act when a thunder-like wind-splitting sound was suddenly emitted from the sky and a dazzling golden light erupted. An enormous golden figure suddenly landed in front of her. Its huge fist was abruptly swung and smashed into Yahua Liangjun's body with lightning-like speed. Its frightening strength turned the shocked-faced Yahua Liangjun into mincemeat with just a punch. Shock surged onto the faces of the experts from the profound Sky Sect by the side when they suddenly saw Yahua Liangjun turn into mincemeat. Their eyes were horrified as they stared at the enormous golden figure. Their bodies quickly pulled back. The dogs from the profound Sky Sect are still as unlikable as ever. The rumbling low voice from the golden human figure, which was dozens of feet tall, slowly sounded after bursting Yahua Liangjun apart with a punch. Liu Kang's expression gradually turned gloomy after hearing the low and deep voice of that golden human figure. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Continuing from the previous episode 479. Chapter 1408. Killing the Profound Sky Sect. Expert, may I know who you are? This is a matter between my Profound Sky Sect and the Flower Sect. Are you really intending on intervening? Liu Kang's eyes were dark and dense as he glared at the golden giant standing in front of Yun Yun. He inquired in a deep voice. The Do Chi within Liu Kang's body was quietly circulated while he spoke. With one glance, it was obvious that this person had come with ill intent. He needed to be careful. That 70-foot-tall golden human figure merely laughed at Liu Kang. The figure did not even give Liu Kang a reply. The giant's feet ruthlessly kicked Yahua Liangjun's corpse in front of him. That terrifying strength caused the body of Yahua Liangjun to ruthlessly shoot toward Liu Kang like a cannonball. You are seeking death. Liu Kang's expression became gloomy when he saw the golden figure attack. His hand grabbed at the space in front of him. Yahua Liangjun's corpse emitted a bang and exploded into clusters of bloody fogs. Today, this chief shall see just where you come from since you dare to intervene in the matters of my Profound Sky Sect. Liu Kang's foot stomped on the ground. His ghost-like body flashed, and he appeared above the golden giant's head. He clenched his fist and cried out in a savage voice, "Great Hell Dragon Fist!" Roar! Do Chi immediately surged out of his body in all directions the moment Liu Qing's cry sounded. It swiftly gathered and formed a large black dragon. The dragon seemed real. It was accompanied by a shocking momentum as it let out a roar and tore through the air, creating a frightening wind as it ruthlessly swam toward the golden giant. That golden giant slowly raised his head when faced with Liu Kang's fierce attack. He revealed a pair of cold and indifferent golden eyes. His fist, which appeared to be made of gold, tightened. After which, a punch was thrown without any fancy actions. A punch was thrown forward and the space in front suddenly collapsed, revealing many black cracks in space itself. Bang! The golden fist flashed over and collided with the black huge dragon. A terrifying force poured out like floodwater upon contact. A miserable cry sounded as that large black dragon was forcefully scattered. That remnant wind penetrated space and heavily struck Liu Kang, whose expression had altered. Bam bam! Liu Kang's body hurriedly withdrew upon sensing the frightening strength heading his way, but that strength was too terrifying. A low and deep air blast exploded against Liu Kang's body before the force struck. Boom boom! This sudden explosive air blasted Liu Kang until he flew backwards. He landed in a 100-foot large stone. A frightening remnant force instantly caused that huge rock to emit a crack sound, covering it with densely packed cracks. Finally, it turned into stone dust amid a deep sound. Hiss! Shock was immediately revealed in the eyes of the surrounding experts from the Profound Sky Sect when they saw that Liu Kang was unable to even receive one punch from the mysterious golden giant. They were clearly aware of Liu Kang's strength. Although the reason that Liu Kang could reach his current position as the deputy chief of the Profound Sky Sect was not completely based on merit, he did possess a strength that was at the peak of the Do Zun class, A, B. He was the strongest in their present group. None of them would have imagined that this person with the strength of a peak Do Zun was unable to last even one exchange in the hands of the golden giant. Just who is this person? Is he actually this frightening? A flicker rapidly flashed through the eyes of the experts from the Profound Sky Sect. By being able to send Liu Kang, whose strength was at the peak of the Do Zun class, flying with a punch, it meant that this person's strength had, at the very least, reached a 2-change or a 3-change peak Do Zun. Bastard! Elder Chu and everyone else, attacked together with this chief. Liu Kang miserably struggled to climb up from the rock dust at this moment. He rubbed off the trace of blood on the corner of his mouth and furiously roared. That skinny bamboo-like black-robed elder, who was the first to attack, looked different when he heard the roar. He could only clench his teeth and nod with a dark expression on his face. There were so many people on their side. If they were to attack together, this person would not be able to gain much of an upper hand even though he possessed a 3-change peak Do Zun strength. Roar! The remaining experts from the Profound Sky Sect could only suppress the fear within their hearts in the face of Liu Kang's roar. Do Qi surged from their bodies at the same time, after which, many incredibly powerful Do Qi attacks tore through space and explosively shot over. Over 10 elite Do Zuns attacked together. Their might was relatively frightening and space seemed to tremble as a result. Be careful. Yun Yun's expression changed when she saw Liu Kang's group attacking at the same time. She hurriedly cried out, HMPH. The golden giant let out a cold snort when faced with Liu Kang's group's joint attack. He advanced instead of pulling back, taking a couple of steps that caused the land to tremble. A bright golden light erupted from his body. Looking from a distance, he appeared like a furious metal statue. Break! Without using any Do skills, every part of the golden giant contained an indestructible frightening strength. A punch was thrown and space crumbled. Many black lines continued to spread apart. Bang! The giant golden fist was thrown over, and all Do skills basically burst apart at this instant. A frightening storm penetrated space. Finally, it poured into the bodies of the Profound Sky Sect's experts. Grug! Grug! With such a frightening strength, everyone other than Liu Kang and the bamboo-thin black-robed elder spat out a mouthful of fresh blood in an instant. Their bodies were like flying cannonballs that rubbed over the ground and violently flew 1,000 feet away. Liu Kang's face finally revealed a frightened expression when he saw the experts from the Profound Sky Sect were knocked unconscious. No one knew if they were alive or dead. Despite so many people joining hands, they were unable to cause the Golden Demon any harm. Who exactly are you? We can talk things over nicely. Liu Kang saw the cold and indifferent golden eyes that had suddenly turned toward him. A chill was immediately felt in his heart as he hurriedly spoke. Bang! The golden giant ignored Liu Kang's words and took a big step forward. He advanced one step after another, and an enormous shadow covered the land, looking like a descending death god. Flee! Liu Kang understood that it was impossible for the golden giant to let him off. He sensed the murderous desire that the golden giant had thrown at him. He was decisive as his foot violently stomped on the ground. His figure rushed back with lightning-like speed. Bastard! Once this chief ascertains your identity, I will definitely get you to suffer a fate worse than death. A ferocity flickered within Liu Kang's eyes as he wildly fled. He had enjoyed many respectful eyes wherever he went since becoming the deputy sect chief of the Profound Sky Sect. When had he ever ended up in such a miserable state? While Liu Kang continued to think vicious thoughts in his heart, a light suddenly flickered in the sky. A glaring golden light flashed in the corner of his eye, causing the skin on his head to suddenly burst apart. He abruptly raised his head as the golden giant unknowingly appeared. Why is he so fast? Disbelief flashed across Liu Kang's heart when he saw the golden giant appear behind him. This feeling had just risen when the metal fist of the golden giant ruthlessly smashed into his back with a terrifying strength. Grug. The Do-Chi defenses on Liu Kang's body were completely useless at this moment. A frightening strength poured into his body like floodwater. In an instant, the strength shattered his internal organs and even his bones into dust. Grug. A mouthful of fresh blood that contained some shattered internal organs was spat out of Liu Kang's mouth. The ferocious and vicious expression from earlier still remained on his face, but life was quickly fading from his eyes. Even after he died, he could not understand why this mysterious golden giant would kill them in such a crazy fashion the moment it appeared. He had merely been chasing Yun Yun's group. That golden giant suddenly landed in front of Yun Yun and the Flower Sect elders' shocked gazes after Liu Kang was killed with just a punch. After which, those cold and indifferent golden eyes looked to the northern sky. That bamboo-like black-robed person had fled in that direction. Swish! The sound of rushing wind suddenly appeared when the golden giant was looking at that patch of sky. A black figure soon shot over and smashed into the ground. It was that profound Sky Sect's elder who had fled earlier. Another few black figures rushed over in a flash behind this figure. They appeared on the empty ground. You are Queen Medusa? Yun Yun looked at the group of people who had appeared. Her eyes suddenly focused on an extremely cool and beautiful woman. A shock immediately surfaced on her face as she cried out in disbelief. Sect Chief of the Misty Cloud Sect, Yun Yun? Kai Lin's brows were slightly knit when she saw Yun Yun. Her pretty eyes shifted to that golden giant and a soft snort was emitted from her nostrils. No wonder this fellow had hurried over in such an anxious and furious manner the moment he had heard that the Flower Sect was in trouble. It was because Yun Yun was present. Yun Yun was slightly startled when she saw Kai Lin look over. She seemed to have suddenly recalled something. Her startled eyes landed on the golden giant as she muttered, "Xiao Yan." Nalan Yanran's lovely figure by the side slightly froze when she heard Yun Yun's voice. She lifted her head in a greatly stunned manner. She did not believe that this person, who had relied on his own strength to eliminate the group from the profound Sky Sect, would be Xiao Yan. A golden light burst out from that golden giant in front of the many pairs of eyes. Its body quickly shrank. Within a short moment, it had turned into a skinny figure. "Ha ha! Are you all right?" The skinny figure turned around, and a familiar face appeared in front of Yun Yun's and Nalan Yanran's astounded eyes. A. So he didn't reach his position based on merit? B. More like he is a little lacking in strength for his position if you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Duh. Continuing from the previous episode 480. Chapter 1409. Ancient Heaven Demon Python. Yun Yun was stunned as she stared at that familiar face. A long while later, she finally recovered and bitterly laughed. "It is really you." Xiao Yan grinned. He took out a jade bottle from his storage ring and handed it to Yun Yun. Yun Yun understood his intention and took a pill from within it to consume. After which, she handed the jade bottle to Nalan Yanran and got her to distribute the medicinal pills inside to the other elders. "Why are all of you here?" Yun Yun's expression was a little better after consuming the medicinal pill. Her pretty eyes swept over Kai Lin and Xiao Yan. She shifted her eyes away while asking in a seemingly random manner. "We are coincidentally entering the ancient wasteland region when we met the members of the profound Sky Sect. After that, we sensed your group." Xiao Yan smiled and replied. "Oh." Yun Yun slightly nodded. Her pretty eyes roamed for a while before they finally paused on Kai Lin. She said, "It is unexpected that I am able to meet you here." When Yun Yun was still in the Jama Empire back then, she had received Gu He's invitation to head to the vast Tager Desert to snatch the green lotus core flame from Medusa. Subsequently, Kai Lin had appeared at the Misty Cloud Sect because of Xiao Yan. On the whole, their meetings were not pleasant ones. These two women had formed a grudge. Nevertheless, it was clear that neither of them had expected their next meeting to be in such a place. Kai Lin faintly nodded. Being cold and indifferent, she did not add anything, nor did she intend on talking with Yun Yun. When Kai Lin didn't say anything more, Yun Yun, who was somewhat proud in her bones, naturally did not offer any warm feelings because of Kai Lin's coldness. Hence, she also became quiet. Xiao Yan was a little embarrassed when he saw this atmosphere form between the two women. He threw a glance at the little fairy doctor in order to seek her help, but she only glanced at him before turning her head away. This caused him to feel a little depressed. It was unexpected that the gentle and obedient little fairy doctor would abandon him at such a moment. "Junior Pavilion Chief, thank you for your help this time around." At this moment, an elder from the Flower Sect, who had consumed a medicinal pill given by Nalin Yanran, walked forward and thanked Xiao Yan. "Ha ha, elder is too polite. The Falling Star Pavilion has a good relationship with the Flower Sect in the first place. Moreover, Yun Yun and I are old acquaintances. It is only right for me to intervene and help." Xiao Yan laughed. He mused for a moment and said, "Elder, may I know how long it has been since you entered this ancient region?" "It has been nearly 5 days, but we have not followed an exact route. Hence, our speed is quite slow. Along the way, we even attracted a group of extremely ferocious beasts. Then, the Profound Sky Sect launched a sneak attack. Their attack resulted in Elder Qinghua's death." "Oh!" That elder spoke in a somewhat grieved manner. Xiao Yan bitterly smiled and shook his head. He asked, "In that case, does Elder know about the situation regarding the other factions?" "They should be fast approaching the ancient region stage of the ancient wasteland region. That is a place that has been left behind since the ancient times. A normal ferocious beast would not approach that place. Hence, it could be considered a safe region in the ancient wasteland region." Yun Yun by the side suddenly replied, "However, there is still a 2 days' journey from our location to that place." "Ancient region stage, huh?" Xiao Yan's eyes revealed an expression of contemplation. He wished to successfully obtain the Bodhisattva heart, but it was clearly impossible for them to reach that place with just their strengths. Any mysterious treasures would be protected by a unique beast. Even less needed to be said about this extremely rare and unique treasure known as the Bodhisattva ancient tree. The unique beast guarding it would naturally be extremely frightening. Hence, he needed to borrow the strength of the other factions in order to benefit from the chaos. Otherwise, he would not have the slightest chance. However, the factions able to resolve these many obstructions and eventually reach the ancient region stage were definitely extremely strong. Moreover, there might be some of Xiao Yan's enemies there. An example was the Hall of Souls. Xiao Yan narrowed his eyes slightly and softly said, "Why don't we travel together during the subsequent journey? Our strength will ultimately be a little stronger if our parties unite. We will be able to help each other if we meet any trouble." Regardless of how strong some of the factions in the ancient region stage were, Xiao Yan needed to reach that place first. Otherwise, it would be useless to simply rely on their strength. Yun Yun hesitated for a moment after hearing Xiao Yan's suggestion. The atmosphere of Xiao Yan's group caused her find it difficult to get used to. However, she could only nod her head after seeing her group of injured members. They had already met a great deal of danger in this ancient wasteland region over these few days. Just their strength alone would likely find it difficult to reach the ancient region stage. "We will take the path to the east first. Although the route towards the west is a little closer, the main road at that place is occupied by an ancient heaven demon python, which strength is comparable to a 5-change peak Do Zun expert. We will definitely disturb it if we wish to pass." Yun Yun said. "Ancient heaven demon python?" Xiao Yan was startled upon hearing this. This was an extremely rare mutated snake beast. It only surpassed the 9 serene deep ground python in terms of ferocity, but this creature was too rare. It was almost extinct in the outside world, yet it still existed in this wasteland. However, the rarity of this ancient heaven demon python was not the reason that caused Xiao Yan to be startled. Instead, it was because he recalled that the blood of an ancient heaven demon python had the effect of refining and strengthening one's physical body. The current him needed to raise his physical strength. Only by doing this would he be able to practice the King Kong glass body until the 99-foot peak. He was in the ancient wasteland region, and he would still have to interact with those powerful factions soon. It would not be easy to do anything if he did not possess sufficient strength as a trump card. Moreover, Xiao Yan had remembered that he had once read from an ancient book that the ancient heaven demon python liked to build a blood pool because the blood pool would be the location where its offspring would be born. In order to enable its offspring to absorb enough energy, it would spend hundreds of years gathering natural treasures with rich energy to throw them into the blood pool. Finally, this energy is absorbed by the blood and merges with the bodies of the offspring being born. Did you see the ancient heaven demon python with your own eyes? A flash appeared in Xiao Yan's eyes as he asked. Yes, We even exchanged blows and were nearly unable to escape. Yun Yun solemnly replied, "So it's like this." Xiao Yan muttered to himself. He immediately lifted his head, looked at Yun Yun, and said, "I plan to make a trip over. The ancient heaven demon python is very useful to me." What? Yun Yun's group was immediately startled when they heard that Xiao Yan was planning to head over to search for that incomparable fierce and brutal ancient heaven demon python. "I have my own plans and will not do things without care for their consequences." Xiao Yan smiled and replied, "Relax, although the ancient heaven demon python is powerful, it might not be able to defeat all of us." Yun Yun could only helplessly shake her head when she heard Xiao Yan's insistence. She mused for a moment before sighing, "Since you insist on it, let's travel together. My group has so many injured members. We will be in greater danger if we separate. Coincidentally, we also know the route to take to help you quickly find the ancient heaven demon python." "Haha, in that case, I will be troubling you." "Relax, I will not allow any accidents to befall your group." Xiao Yan sighed in relief and laughed upon hearing her words. "I really regret telling you about this." Yun Yun bitterly smiled and shook her head. She had originally wanted to use the incident to warn Xiao Yan. Unexpectedly, it had ended up attracting him over. "Everyone should rest first. We will head out in half an hour." Xiao Yan smiled. He waved his hand and informed everyone. Everyone nodded when they heard his words. After which they sat down. Xiao Yan also sat cross-legged on a large rock. He shut his eyes and entered a resting state. Half an hour of rest quickly passed. Xiao Yan opened his eyes and saw the faces of members of the flower sect were much better. Only then did he nod his head and stand up. He was just about to speak when he abruptly sensed something. His eyes looked to the sky behind him. A moment later, he waved his hand and quickly said, "Everyone, hide your auras. Someone is coming." The entire group was startled upon hearing Xiao Yan's words. They hurriedly withdrew into the forest, suppressing their auras and breaths to the weakest levels in the process. Swoosh swoosh. Soon after Xiao Yan's group withdrew into the forest, wave after wave of rushing wind suddenly resounded in the sky. Many figures flew through the sky with extremely fast speed. These people are really bold. Aren't they afraid of attracting the attacks from those ferocious beasts? The little fairy doctor slightly frowned and softly commented when she saw these people dared to recklessly fly. Xiao Yan knit his brow. His eyes stared at the light figures in the sky. With his outstanding eyesight, he clearly made out a lady in colorful clothes, leading section of this large group. This lady gave Xiao Yan a familiar feeling. It is Feng Qing'er from the Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe. The moment this thought appeared in his heart, Xiao Yan suddenly recalled something as some shock appeared in his eyes. He recalled that when he saw Feng Qing'er at the Do Sheng remains back then, she merely had the strength of a Do Zong. However, the feeling that she gave him now definitely surpassed that of an ordinary peak Do Zun expert. Moreover, he vaguely sensed that the current Feng Qing'er gave him a somewhat different feeling than before. This difference did not originate from her outer appearance. Instead, it came from her soul. The Feng Qing'er of the past was unable to make Xiao Yan feel any pressure by relying on the bloodline of the Demon Phoenix tribe. However, he was able to sense a faint pressure emanating from Feng Qing'er. He had once sensed this kind of pressure from Zi Yan. It is the pressure from an ancient heaven phoenix. Xiao Yan's eyes flickered. A moment later, he finally recovered as he gently inhaled a breath of cool air. The ancient heaven phoenix had disappeared from this world. Why did this kind of pressure appear on Feng Qing'er? This woman has definitely met some great opportunity that has allowed her strength to soar. Looks like I cannot delay any longer. This time around, I must head to where the ancient heaven demon python is and rely on its blood pool to train the King Kong glass body to its peak. Moreover, I must break through to the 9th star of a Do Zun. Xiao Yan clenched his fist. These enemies, whose strength had soared, caused him to be filled with a kind of pressure. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Continuing from the previous episode 481. Chapter 1410. Sieging the Heaven Demon Python. An extremely steep and dangerous mountain stood on one side of the main road, like a giant python. Clusters of black vapors continued to rise and covered the sky within a 100-meter radius. No ferocious beast dared to step within this territory because this place was the territory of the ancient heaven demon python. The ancient heaven demon python was an extremely rare mutated beast. If one were to look in terms of seniority, its bloodline was considered to be relatively close to that of some ancient ancestors within the snake clan, but its murderous desire was too strong, causing its intelligence to be far inferior to the 9 serene deep-ground python tribe. Hence, the 9 serene deep-ground python looked down on the ancient heaven demon python. After all, it was merely a killing machine that possessed great strength and did not possess any intelligence. The blood of the ancient heaven demon python was good at tempering and refining one's physical body. Of course, Xiao Yan's current body was relatively strong after having been refined by various natural treasures. An ordinary treasure could no longer strengthen Xiao Yan's body anymore, and even the heaven demon python's blood wouldn't be able to do much. Therefore, the thing that he was targeting was not the ancient heaven demon python's blood. Instead, it was the heaven demon blood pool that it had spent hundreds of years accumulating. This heaven demon blood pool was filled with natural treasures and a pure energy that the ancient heaven demon python had spent great effort to find over hundreds of years or longer. As time progressed, the energy gathered within it reaches an extremely terrifying level. If an ordinary person were to step into it, that person's body would burst apart because of the frightening energy. Only the descendants of the ancient heaven demon python could endure it. Of course, nothing was absolute. Something that others could not endure did not mean that Xiao Yan could not endure it. His body's strength was no longer weaker than some magical beasts after undergoing various refinements and strengthenings. Hence, the heaven demon blood pool was the perfect nourishment for him. This time around, he might not only be able to train the King Kong glass body until the peak, he also might use the opportunity to break through to the 9th star of the Do Zun class. At that moment, his strength would significantly soar. He would benefit if his strength increased while roaming this ancient wasteland region that was filled with danger. The ancient heaven demon python is here. Yun Yun softly informed them when she arrived a short distance from the large mountain where black fog lingered. Xiao Yan nodded with excited eyes. He did not speak much as he said in a deep voice, "Let's go. Prepare to attack." Xiao Yan's figure turned into a black shadow after his words sounded, and he swiftly rushed toward that enormous black mountain. Kai Lin, Qing Lin, the little fairy doctor and the rest quickly followed behind him. The group from the Flower Sect hesitated for a moment before they followed Yun Yun and gave chase. Xiao Yan's group suppressed their auras until they were very weak. They quickly charged into the thick black fog that lingered around the mountain. An extremely deafening snake hiss was suddenly emitted. Soon after, the entire mountain trembled, and one could hear many sounds of whistling wind appear. 1,000-foot-long black snake tail shot out from the mountain with lightning-like speed. It ruthlessly slammed toward Xiao Yan's group. HMPH. Seeing that the senses of this ancient heaven demon serpent were so sharp, Xiao Yan let out a cold snort and quickly took 2 steps forward. A bright golden light suddenly erupted from his body, and in the blink of an eye, his skinny figure suddenly swelled until he was 70 feet tall. He appeared like a shiny golden giant. After using the King Kong glass body, Xiao Yan's large hands, which appeared to be made of gold, were suddenly thrown forward. Both of his fists ruthlessly collided with that enormous black serpent tail. Bang! A frightening wind raged when the two clashed before exploding. Fortunately, the people present were not mediocre individuals, so they did not suffer much damage. A storm surged and the golden giant that Xiao Yan had transformed into was forced to take 2 steps back. However, that enormous black snake tail was also forced back. Its scales had been significantly damaged. After activating the King Kong glass body, Xiao Yan's physical body had been strengthened to a frightening level. Roar! Having suffered a slight loss, a furious earth-shaking roar quickly resonated across the sky. The roar was filled with violence. Soon after, the entire mountain began to quiver. Finally, one could hear a loud bang as a 1,000-foot-long black python shot out of the towering mountain. This black giant python was huge. Its entire body was covered with scales, and a dense layer of black fog lingered over these scales. The head of the giant python was relatively terrifying because it was not an ordinary snake face. At a glance, it appeared more like a ferocious giant human's face. It gave one the chills when one looked at it. No wonder this monster was called the Heaven Demon Python. Dark clouds began to gather in the sky the moment this ancient heaven demon python appeared, and a terrifying black energy agglomerated within the clouds with lightning-like speed. It was relatively powerful. Its large red eyes, which were at least 10 feet in size, appeared like two enormous red lamps hanging in the sky. They were filled with violence and murderous intent as they stared at Xiao Yan's group. Everyone's expression involuntarily changed as they looked at the enormous being lingering in the sky. This ancient heaven demon python was indeed not an ordinary creature. Attack! Xiao Yan's eyes stared at the heaven demon python as he cried out in a deep voice. This big fellow had reached the strength of a 5-change peak Do Zun. He could only rely on everyone attacking together if he did not use the angry Buddha lotus flame. Understood. Kai Lin nodded when she heard Xiao Yan's cry. Her delicate figure leapt forward as she turned into a 7-colored heaven-swallowing python that was not any smaller than the ancient heaven demon python within the churning clouds. An invisible pressure spread, causing the ferocity of the heaven demon python to diminish. In terms of bloodline purity, a heaven demon python could not compare to this heaven-swallowing python, which was able to challenge the ancient heaven serpent during the ancient times. However, this heaven demon python was still an unusually violent and ferocious creature. Hence, the little pressure that it sensed was unable to hinder its killing intent. Forget about the heaven-swallowing python. Even if a genuine ancient heaven serpent were to arrive, this red-eyed fellow would still dare to bite it. Bang! Clouds churned in the sky. Kai Lin, who had turned into the heaven-swallowing python, summoned numerous enormous colorful thunderbolts. After which, they continuously struck the heaven demon python. Puff! That heaven demon python opened its large ferocious mouth as Kai Lin attacked. Many black lights that were filled with a stench were spat out and received all those colorful thunderbolts. Although it was a little inferior to the heaven-swallowing python in terms of its bloodline, its strength far surpassed Kai Lin. Hence, it held the upper hand in this fight. Bang! The golden giant that Xiao Yan had transformed into turned into a golden light that arrived in front of the heaven demon python in a flash while it was busy unleashing its attack. A frightening storm immediately formed under his fist as it ruthlessly smashed against the heaven demon python's body. Ow! This merciless punch from Xiao Yan scattered the black fog around the heaven demon python. Even the black scales on its body were blasted apart. Elder Qing Chen, Yun Yun, the little fairy doctor, and the rest unleashed their attacks when Xiao Yan struck. Frightening Do Qi whistled across the sky and landed on the body of the heaven demon python from all directions. The air that was blasted apart was something that even the heaven demon python could not endure. However, this heaven demon python was quite ferocious. Its huge eyes were bloody red as it ignored the many air explosions on its body. It swung its huge tail and ruthlessly struck Xiao Yan, who had caused it the most harm. Clang! The enormous snake tail heavily smashed into Xiao Yan's body, emitting the clear sound of metal colliding. Sparks flew in the process. HMPH! Xiao Yan's throat emitted a muffled moan after suffering such a serious blow. He forcefully endured the frightening strength as he reached out with his hands and firmly grabbed the heaven demon python's huge tail. Soon after, a purple-brown flame suddenly gushed out of his body and swiftly traveled down the heaven demon python's body. It quickly incinerated the dense black fog. Hiss hiss. The sudden terrifying temperature caused the heaven demon python to go crazy as its large body continued to wiggle. The surrounding tall mountains would be shattered into rock fragments if they were struck by its tail. It is really difficult to deal with this fellow. Everyone's heart involuntarily felt speechless when they saw the stubbornness of this heaven demon python. If Xiao Yan and Kai Lin were not pressuring it from the sky, it was likely that the remaining people would not be able to endure the force from just a swing of its tail. Xiao Yan held the heaven demon python with all his strength as one of his fists wildly smashed into its tail. A violent force and a hot flame smashed its tail until blood flowed like a river. Although this caused the heaven demon python to feel an immense amount of pain, it had also stirred its ferocious instincts. Its resistance became even more intense. Young Master Xiao Yan, force its eyes to look at me. A voice was suddenly transmitted into Xiao Yan's ears while he gradually started to feel like he wouldn't be able to hold the struggling heaven demon python. The voice caused him to brace his attention. That voice belonged to Qing Lin. Roar! Xiao Yan inhaled a deep breath of air. Chi from his body poured into his arms. A frightening strength suddenly surged and forcefully maneuvered the Heaven Demon Python's body, turning it in the process. That Heaven Demon Python became furious as Xiao Yan repeatedly pulled and pushed it. It was planning to go crazy when a 5-foot large jade-green demonic eye suddenly appeared in its sight. 3 green flowers rapidly rotated within the eye as a numb feeling, originating from deep within the Heaven Demon Python's soul, caused its body to stiffen. It slowly became gentle. The murderous intent and violence within its large blood-red eyes quickly diminished. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible.